Good evening, everybody. I'm back with the Chevy Monte Carlo, and we painted the frame. So I thought I would give a little bit of a better explanation as to what my process was, as I feel like I didn't adequately explain it the last time. I painted this frame a little bit in an unorthodox manner. You see, what I did is I left basically all the suspension components in place, both front and rear, except the brake lines. The brake lines, I removed those. They're actually on the floor of my garage right now. The reason I kept them is because most of these lines are good. One of the brake lines that goes to the rear had a small little pinhole in it, but mostly what I wanted to do is I wanted to keep it just to know how these things are plumbed, because more likely than not I will probably replace it in the future, being with the body off of the car and whatnot. It was pretty easy to just take the bolts out without breaking them. I soaked them really good with some penetrating oil. Now what I did when I painted this is I pretty much painted around all of the suspension components. I tried my best to get everywhere, but the idea was to paint as much as I could, and that eventually later down the road, when I go service the actual components, I mean, I'm going to have to take all of these off. It's probably going to need some new bushings. It's definitely going to need some new shocks. I don't know the condition of the brake shoes or anything. I know the diff is good. I checked it. It looked good on the inside. And the same deal with, what do you call it, the front suspension. You see, this steering box is shot, so I just did the best I could to get around there, because basically all of these components are going to be taken off, but at a later date, later down the road. The reason I'm doing it this way is to keep track of all of these parts, because once you start taking apart a car or something like that, things have a habit of, just getting out of control. You try and label stuff, but you end up by moving everything everywhere, and then you lose parts, and you go to put it back together, and you can't find anything anymore. So, although it was the incorrect way of doing this, it does actually work for me at the end. And when I do have the suspension components off at a later date, well, then I could just scuff up the paint and paint what I missed. And speaking of paint, if anybody's wondering what it is that I used, I actually used a paint called Chassis Saver. Fortunately, I got a little bit of excess over the can, so we can't really see what's written here. But it's a paint formulated to be painted directly over rust. And although the frame was very rusty, I did prepare it well ahead of time. I'll also be posting some pictures, the before and after, of basically what I did, just to give people a better idea if anybody's interested. So now moving on, well, we got the... I started working on the trunk. It took me a few months. Oh, hello, baby cat. How are you doing? Say hi to everybody. Meow. That's this stray cat. She likes to come to give her cat food sometimes. Yeah, so pretty much I did the same treatment to the floor that I did to the trunk, and well, behind the seat it was pretty rough, and I patched in pieces of metal. Did the same treatment underneath the car. A lot of this stuff was, really rotten. And there's where the old, what do you call it, the old spare was. And my creative metal work right here. I fixed a couple of the, mounts, and pretty much all I really have to do now, fiberglass a couple of little pinholes, and maybe put some sort of bead of flexible sealer so that, water doesn't, sit right where my welds are and rot it from the inside out. Just make a smooth surface so that, areas where I know water is going to collect won't be able to, essentially. So that pretty much brings us up to date with this car. I mean, it was about a year ago that I had first started working on the car. And to see it, you know, slowly get fixed and, you know, to slowly get it done. I mean, it took me over a year to get this far, but hopefully in my next video, we'll be starting this bad boy for the first time. So I hope everybody is having a great evening, and I wish everybody the best. Take care now.